The date is Friday, April 16th, and you're listening to Entertain This, a thought-provoking podcast encapsulating all things entertainment. On this week's episode, we're talking about a game that has taken the world by storm, Monster Hunter. We'll delve into what makes this such a joy to play and the lore around it, while drawing some connections to other popular titles as well. So enjoy!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of your favorite internet podcast. That's right, you're listening to Entertain This.
Entertain This.
As always, I'm Alex.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Nick.
Guys, we recently got a showrunner. It is, of course, the lovely Chloe. She does our fact-checking for us, and she asks so little of us as people and as hosts. As star. One of the things she asks of us is that before the show starts, we give her 10 seconds of silence for editing purposes. And in those 10 seconds, I almost busted out laughing. I heard Michael holding back laughter. He was stifling it. And I heard the loudest swallow in the fucking world.
Swallow? What are you doing?
From Nick. I heard it travel down his esophagus. It was gross. The thing vibrated his microphone.
Put his microphone like right up to his neck.
I did not.
He was just talking about? And I'm not gonna leave it in. You guys won't. You know what? I will leave it in. It's gonna be a weird ass intro. But if you're wondering what the fuck you were watching before, it was that. I wanted you to hear that so that you know how bad it was. Guys,
So
welcome to another.
I was laughing that entire time because I thought back to last week where I completely forgot that we were supposed to be quiet. And I just started busting out singing to myself in the middle of it.
You did!
And we had to start over. I do remember that as well. And that was Chloe's first week with us. So that rough start for her. But another thing, since you mentioned last week, I do have an update, which is not something that we do very often here. But if you guys remember my quick this from last week, I talked about Lil Nas X and his current debacle with Mischief and the Satan shoe and all of that. There has been a breaking update in the story, so I'm gonna do something a little uncanny, a little new, and I'm going to do a quick this update here at the top of the show. Right. So edit in the like the like news thing, you know what I mean? Just edit in over me singing it there, the right one. And I'll get right into it. So in the news, we've figured out that Nike as a brand was receiving backlash for the Satan shoe, of course. Mm-hmm. For those of you who didn't listen in last week, basically Lil Nas X made a song called something. I don't know the pronunciation of it, but I'm sure that we will figure it out shortly. But the song basically was a story in the music video of him dealing with the fact that he was kind of being haunted by the fact that he was gay and him coming to terms with that. And it was kind of a call out to the Christian religion being like, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be. And if you don't like it, well, balls to you. And in doing so, to help promote this song, he partnered with Mischief, a brand that does these dead drops of these super rare items, one of them being a Jesus shoe. And he made a kind of counter that called the Satan shoe. I think our fact checker is ready with the information that I was requesting.
Wow.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's up, fact checker Chloe?
Anyway, stream Montero, parentheses, call me by your name.
Montero.
By Lil Nas X.
I totally would have gotten that wrong. So glad that you were here. Do you have any more fun facts about it? I think there are some fun facts. Like, I think that you can check me on this. I think it's currently streaming #1 in like a shit ton of countries. I don't have the exact list, but I think like the US was finally one. A little side note was that Lil Nas X said on Twitter that if he could get the song to #1 in like certain countries, he would buy socks for all of his Twitter followers. He said, "I'll buy a pack of Hanes socks for all my Twitter followers." Today he tweeted. He tweeted after this list was released. He said, "Oh shit, that's a lot of socks." So,
it's definitely #1 on the Billboard charts right now.
Awesome.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's really interesting. Well, thank you, Chloe.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So, getting back into it, basically,
so the song's called Montero.
It's called Montero,
or it's a type of wine.
Montero, call me by your name in parentheses. But what we covered last week was the repercussions of him making this Satan shoe out of a Nike Air Max. I think it was a 1998 Nike Air Max was what he based the shoe off of.
Not a sneaker.
So the Christians decided that, and you know what? It's not all of them. So don't think that it's all of them. But a group of Christians decided that they were going to attack the Nike brand and blame them for the release of this shoe, this Satan shoe. And Nike actually had nothing to do with the production of the shoe. In fact, it was a custom shoe made by artists working for Mischief who made them. So all Nike did was sell them the base shoe, and then Mischief took care of the rest. The problem was that it was advertised as a Nike shoe on the Mischief website. So Nike did go ahead and move forward with a lawsuit. So here's your update, is that it settled that Mischief first off was of course going to pay a fine to Nike, because obviously, but also all 666 of the custom Nikes, they were told they were not allowed to fulfill any of those orders, and all must be refunded back to the people who bought them.
Oh shit.
Now, that being said, who's to say what's going on in the background? Because there are a lot of people who are posting on the secondary shoe market that they have received their shoes and they're now selling them. So
price going to go up.
I think a number of the shoes, possibly all of them, were already shipped by the time they were told they weren't allowed to ship them. And I think the agreement made with Nike was, we will not ship any more out.
On a limited release that sold out in the first 2 minutes.
Yeah, they said we will not ship out anymore, but there's nothing we can do about the ones we already shipped out. There were only 666, so chances are they all got out there. Yeah. The only one that wouldn't have made it out was the 666th pair that Lil Nas X was planning on giving away the day before this happened. He was not allowed to complete that giveaway, but I think the rest of them might have made it out, which is pretty fucking funny, actually.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my update. That's my quick this update. I'm gonna not delay this episode any longer. We're all super excited to see what you brought to the table today, Michael, to share with us.
Excuse me?
It's your week there, son.
Yeah, it's the third week of the month, so
okay. Give me 1 second to pull up Google.
You wait, what?
Oh no.
What's happening?
Oh no.
Are you fucking with us right now? No, don't take Chloe, take away that banner. Don't show that right now. This is a bad time.
Are you yanking our chain right now?
Showing that.
I will preface with this. I have had a busy week.
Okay.
And I completely forgot that this week was my week.
Okay, so should we stop recording? Should we?
No, I can pull something out of my butt.
Oh no, I don't know what entertainment you store in your butt, but I don't.
Let's see. Oh, I've been playing a game that I really am enjoying called Monster Hunter. We could talk about that.
Oh well, lucky for you, I have this ready. Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter, Monster Hunter.
Monday, Monster Hunter Rally.
Monster
Hunter Rally. Oh man, Monster Trucks would be a really good episode too.
Monster trucks, yeah.
Ooh,
Nobody else take that.
Of the Gravedigger.
Sunday, Sunday, Sunday. See the gravedigger take on the Undertaker, the wrestler, not the truck.
Just run them over. All right, that's the end. Thanks for watching, guys.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about Monster Hunter. It's a video
Hunter,
game.
yeah,
Is it like
game.
Is it like Pokemon, where you go out and you collect monsters?
In parts, and you kind of. So I'll just give a quick little overview. Monster Hunter is like a action RPG that takes place in this low magic setting. So like there's not like any like big spells or anything like that. Like it's magical in the sense that like there's creatures that are like, I guess, magical in biology or whatnot. But there's like some low technology, like there's some like steam power stuff going on. But the whole premise of this world is that you are a human in a world filled with giant monsters that can kill you at any point. But
isn't that just like life?
Yeah, I guess.
No.
But in this case, the humans have figured out ways to take the different bits and pieces from the monsters after they've killed them and turn them into different like useful things like armor and weapons and even things like parts of the constructions of their houses and shit like that.
Okay.
But I had never played Monster Hunter until a few years back when an iteration of the game called Monster Hunter World came out for PlayStation 4. Are we on PlayStation 5 now? That's right. Yeah. So it came out for PlayStation 4.
I've obtained a PlayStation 5.
Oh, you lucky bastard.
Rub it in.
I feel like I'm holding up a Tony right now.
Basically.
I want to thank my employers.
I'd like to thank Mr. Joe Biden for the stimulus check that helped me buy
but yeah, Monster Hunter. So I had just kind of heard through the grapevine that this is like a game that people got like very easily addicted to. And this is back when like I didn't even really know you guys. So like I was just looking for something to fulfill the whole of like not really having any friends or just kind of like just trying to figure something out to do. So I was like, sure, something that'll take up all of my time. Fantastic.
I wasn't using it anyway. Why not?
Yeah. So I jumped into it and I fell in love. And I ended up putting in over 1,500 hours in a Monster Hunter World between my PlayStation account and then I also bought it later on for my computer when it came out later.
Wow.
So Monster Hunter is a game where you can. So I'm guessing it's not strictly story based. It's not a narrative that you have to that you're kind of forced into.
There is one, and usually you kind of have to like follow along with the narrative to like unlock stuff. But the whole gimmick of the game is that you are a monster hunter. You are just a regular human who,
like The Witcher.
No, because The Witcher's like an upgraded human.
Okay.
Like, he's got like powers and such. But like, no, you are just like a regular human. And your job is to go out and kill monsters and gather its parts so that you can bring it back to your camp. And you can have those different parts be made into better armor and weapons.
So you can go out and fight monsters to bring back their parts.
Yup.
And turn it into better armor and weapons.
Yup.
So this is Pokemon if Pokemon were at all realistic.
I guess, yeah. Except if you weren't like fighting Pokemon versus Pokemon, imagine a trainer just going out and beating the shit out of a Pikachu.
So like I was saying, if Pokemon were realistic at all, and again, I can delve into Pokemon lore for hours because there's so many things about the Pokemon world that confuse me if you think about it on a like logic sense. But if Pokemon were real, you cannot tell me that they would patiently wait for you to produce an animal for them to fight before they would just come and kick your fucking ass as a human being.
If we're talking like Team Rocket situation where it's like, like just not a good person. Yeah.
No, I mean like Pokemon, like wild Pokemon should theoretically, they shouldn't battle your Pokemon. They should kick your fucking ass.
They should come for you.
Isn't that kind of like the insinuation of like the first step you take into tall grass and Oak has to be like, wait,
don't do it.
Maybe that's the insinuation, is that like the Pokemon will kill you if you don't have one. But here's what I'm saying is, Pokemon is a turn-based game.
Yeah.
So there are laws to the Pokemon fight that the wild Pokemon understand. And they shouldn't. If Pokemon were real, and you ran into even like a Charizard, you're telling me a lizard that produces fire out of its ass isn't about to fucking murk a 12-year-old. You're out your goddamn mind.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I guess I've never applied logic to Pokemon before now.
Take it this way. Okay, you're with your friends. You're camping, okay? You're out camping in the woods.
I do be camping.
Suddenly, in our world, you're camping. It's late at night. You hear a rustle outside of your tent. You open the little flap, and there's a giant fucking fuck-all grizzly bear in front of you.
Or in Pokemon terms, an Ursaring. Yeah, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If it were an Ursaring, I'm thinking, oh shit, I know the catch rate on this motherfucker. I'm gonna go for it. But me as a squishy human being, I'm like, God, I hope that it doesn't rip this tent open because it's gonna find a sack of meat, and I'm that sack of meat.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you're with me in saying that, like, if Pokemon were at all realistic, the Pokemon would fucking kill you, and for that reason, Monster Hunter is a Pokemon if Pokemon were realistic.
Yeah,
and
I guess in
a
way.
Just start fucking killing the Pokemon, because if you don't, they will kill you first.
I'm gonna disagree.
I see that.
A little bit.
Okay, hit me with it. Debate this. We haven't done this segment in a while. Okay. Welcome to Debate This. This is the part of the show where me and Nick have logic puzzles that we argue who's right about. Go ahead.
I wouldn't say it's a logic puzzle. I mean, I agree with you, and Pokemon's not about fighting people. It's about the friends you make along the way. It's about using your animals to fight for you, so you don't have to do the work.
Michael, may I have a rebuttal?
Why is he the moderator?
Yeah, you can have a rebuttal. I was going to rebut it for you, but go ahead.
Hey, Nick, when you made us as your friends, and we are your friends, I care about you deeply. Mm-hmm. When we became your friends, did you kick the shit out of us until we were incapacitated and then nurse us back to health so that we were tricked into being your friend in a sort of Stockholm Syndrome-esque relationship?
Thought about it.
I can't say that I did, but the way you're talking right now makes me want to wish I could go back in time.
Kick my ass! I want to go back in time and kick your ass right now, Alex. Me too, Nick. I also want to go back in time and kick my ass. But that being said, if it's about the friends you make along the way, you have a funny way of making friends, because that's how you get Pokemon.
I don't know what Pokemon's about, but I know Monster Hunter isn't like that. So
nope, not at all.
It's an RPG.
So it's an action RPG, but like the really unique factor about it is the fact that like your character, your individual character in Monster Hunter never gets any better. Like you have no skills that actually go up. Like your speed doesn't go up, your power doesn't go up, or anything like that. The only things that determine an increase in your character's power is the equipment that you use and your own skill at the game. So before Dark Souls ever came out, which like one of the things that Dark Souls is really famous for is having like really slow but intentional combat where you have to study your opponent. You have to be able to dodge out of the way of their attacks by knowing that it's coming, being able to analyze like your windows for opportunities for attack. So before Dark Souls ever came out, Monster Hunter was actually doing this. So one of the big keys that Monster Hunter has is it has very technical and can be very slow combat. And the whole shtick is that with these different monsters, every single monster has its own unique set of moves and attacks that it has. It has its own set of behaviors. And
like
your
Pokemon.
Goal, yeah, I'll retract that statement. Maybe this is more like Pokemon than I realized.
But your job as like the hunter is to get to know their move sets and analyze their behaviors, so that way you can take advantage of them to take them down faster, which is how your character gets better.
Can I ask you a question that is usually a make or break for these kind of games for me?
Sure, go ahead.
Is it turn-based combat?
No.
Oh,
I typically don't like turn-based combat.
Not.
Oh
no! So the whole thing is that you
fuck.
are in like third person in real time, having to dodge out of the way of this stuff. And like one of the big things that you'll see when looking at like art for this game of like hunters is like a lot of art has hunters carrying a greatsword. But like when we think of like a greatsword, we're thinking like 5 feet long, but like still like a hand's width at the most of the blade. No, Monster Hunter, it's literally the entire length of their body and wider than your body and thicker than like your waist. So
Wider
it's
than your
more like
body
a
and thicker than a
club.
Snicker.
Thick.
So think of it like someone took like 6 surfboards, taped them all together, put a handle on it, and then called it a sword.
It's extremely heavy.
That's like the size of the greatsword.
It's got to be heavy.
But the whole thing with it is like you attack very slowly. Like you
As you
have
would.
to charge up your attack. The actual like swing can take like 1.5 seconds to do. But the payoff is that like one hit from this greatsword will do like a 25th of the monster's health versus like your normal weapon attacks, which will only do like 1/300th.
Worth it.
But
So
it really encapsulates the whole idea of this slow and methodical combat with a deep like understanding of analysis that you have to have.
that kind of reminds me of the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies where before combat would break out, he would like break down every single move and like play it out in his head what the outcome was going to be with everything that he did. And then you would get to see in real time that fight happening. That's what it makes me think of when you say like combat based on analysis. My next question, Michael, and understand at this point, what this episode has become is Michael tries to talk Alex into buying Monster Hunter before the end of the episode, because I will shell out the money as we're talking right now, especially if I can get it on like a system that I don't play as often as I should, like Switch, which I think it is on Switch.
The newest one, Monster Hunter Rise, just came out on Switch not too long ago.
I do know that, so that's exciting. But my next question in trying to convince myself to purchase this game before this episode's over, which is what this podcast is all about, is trying to convince each other to partake in these certain things or to entertain this, if you will. How big are the monsters, bro? What's the biggest one? How big is the biggest one? How small is the smallest one?
So
what's the size range here?
Okay, so you in the game you have like you can have like really small like monsters that are the same size as like Cleo, for example.
Hey, that's my dog. She's currently laying under my bed because it is a sweltering 86 degrees here.
Yeah, which she's like what, like 30 pounds?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so like that would be like the smallest one that you could like actually like hunt and like get stuff from. There's other like small like bugs and stuff that you can use to gather materials and stuff. But the biggest one, I don't know about Monster Hunter Rise, but in Monster Hunter World, the last monster of the game was called Xeno'jiiva. And Xeno'jiiva was about the size of I'm trying to think what would be a good comparison. Probably like a cruise ship.
Oh, snap.
And it was a giant fuck all dragon.
Standing up like straight?
Like on it all fours, it was the length of a cruise ship.
Hey, that's a big monster.
Yeah.
Ooh,
yeah,
buddy.
It's big, and you gotta fight it.
Is this like Shadow of the Colossus? You remember that old game?
It feels a lot like that.
Where you gotta like climb up the monster and then get to its head and stab it right in the back of the neck or something.
You don't do a lot of like climbing of the monster. So there is like this whole subsystem where if you attack the monster while you are in the air, because you can do like jumping attacks and stuff, then when you hit like a certain damage threshold, and you can ride the monster. And when you ride the monster in World, essentially you can just like attack it and attack and attack, and you have to like, it's like a quick time event game kind of, where you have to like, the monster's going to say like, it's going to telegraph like it's going to like try and bump you off, it's going to try and hit a wall, and you have to like either brace or you have to move out of the way so that way the part that it's hitting against the wall won't be you. But in Rise, one of the big key features of this brand new game is that you don't like ride the or you like don't mount the monster and just like don't really control it. You like get full control over the monster. Like, so you can attack other monsters with the monster that you are now controlling. You can have access to all of its attacks that you can use. You can try and like shoot it into walls to do damage to it. It's really, really fun.
Boingo.
Oh yeah. But go ahead.
Okay, so I have another question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there different spawn rates for different monsters? Are there like super rare monsters that maybe you don't see every playthrough? Are there like legendary monsters that you can hunt?
Well, here let's take it a step back first, because one of the big things of this is that like there are different environments, but in order to really like go out and hunt a monster, you have to accept a mission from like a board or like a quest giver or something.
This was going to be one of my next questions, is what is the story arc that you're following in this? And I think that that's what we're getting into now. So if you want to start from the beginning.
Okay, well, we'll go through World, because World is, I don't know Rise yet because I haven't beaten it. But with World, you basically start as a brand new hunter who is who's being transported to this new camp, which they call like it's the New World. You basically take a ship across the sea to the New World. And you start as just kind of like this regular hunter that just rises through the ranks by taking down important missions throughout like the story. You take down different monsters that just grow and grow and grow and become more and more and more difficult. It's not always that they get bigger, but the monsters always try to get more difficult by either having like just a more difficult move set or just hitting you harder. And by the end of it, the whole thing that you're working up to is just trying to get as much information as you can about these monsters. Because in a lot of the games, it's like the first time that you're like that anyone is encountering some of these monsters. And so you kind of serve as like this guy to go out, beat them down, and get test samples to bring back to the camp, so that way they can figure out how to use their stuff or just to learn more about it. And by the end of the game, you are taking on these things known as like elder dragons, which elder dragons like is just a classification. It's not necessarily like they are all like look like dragons. It's just the qualification of like they don't necessarily know how to qualify this monster in any other category. So elder dragon is just kind of like the blanket term for like a very, very strong but unqualifiable monster.
Okay.
But so when it goes into like whether there's like spawn rates and all that, it doesn't work that way. It's essentially like you get random assortment of missions that you can accept. Throughout the story, it's like very regimented though. Like, so you have like specific missions that you can tackle throughout the story. But when you get to like the end of the game, you get you can accept like randomized missions that will tell you like, okay, go hunt 2 or 3 of this monster. Go hunt like one of this monster, another of this kind, and another of this kind. So it's not necessarily that it has anything to do with spawn rates, more so just like what you are assigned and what's available for you to be assigned.
Okay. So this almost seems like a series of, dare I say, fetch quests, but they aren't fetch quests because you have to kill something. So I guess it's a go here, kill this type of quest.
Yeah, it's basically like go out into this environment, search for this monster, gather the materials that you think you would need while you are searching for this monster, and then fight it. And you'll have to like, there'll be different points during the fight where you have to take it down to like a certain amount of health. The monster being like an actual like thinking thing will be like, hey, I'm getting my ass kicked, I need to run away. So like you actually have to go and like track the monster. And so a lot of the process is like, if you don't have any way of just knowing where the monster is, you have to actually like find its footprints. You have to find like the different signs that it leaves behind to lead you to the monster.
Interesting. So it's almost like you're a real hunter.
Yeah, almost.
Because hunters out in the woods, or when they're hunting like deer or squirrel, whatever the hell they hunt out there, they're looking for prints and droppings and The branch is bent or something
and you
like
do
that?
have to take like some droppings. You have to take some samples to find that, and
Stool samples, if you will.
oh yeah, and you can even use dung, as it's called, as a tool.
No
So like
thanks.
one of the things you can do is you can make this thing called like a dung pod, and the whole thing is like you shoot it at a monster to like send it away, because there will be times when you're fighting like your targeted monster and another stronger monster will come in and try and fuck everything up and will try and kill you and the monster that you're fighting. And the only way to really get it to go away is to either like beat it down so that way it runs away on its own, or shoot a dung pod at it, which will just make you go, ew, gross, and run away.
Ew, poopy.
But one of the things that like I really, really love about this game is how much detail is taken into like the actual behaviors. Because it's one of those things when you're like, you can tell a lot of the times when you're playing a game that like this is just like, it is AI. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, you can tell it's like this is something computer generated that is just going through its steps.
Mhm.
But when playing these games, a lot of the times, like the monster that you're fighting feels like a real biological being, like that would behave as you would envision this being to be. So like one of the monsters that you fight in the first not in the first game, in World, is this thing called a great jaguaress. And the whole idea of it is that it is like a large like lizard, but at some point if you hurt it enough, it will run away. And when it gets to a spot where it'll run away, it itself, while it's running away, will track another smaller monster, and it will try and get there, and it will swallow the entire monster as a form of it trying to like get its health back.
Wow.
And then that will actually like change the form of the monster and give it new moves and new attacks to fight against you.
Huh.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah. So
That's some
it
advanced AI.
yeah, it has a little snack, and then all of a sudden it's now a full monster who doesn't want to maybe eat so much, but he's got a full belly, so maybe he's going to move a little slower.
But yeah, and so there's all this really specific attention to detail that is taken out into how the monster behaves, and also like the animations that go along with it. It's not just like what it's doing, but how it's doing it. So like as an example, let's see what would be a good example. Here, there is a monster in World that is called a Puke Puke, which it gets the name because it will like the monster will actually shoot like projectile poisonous vomit at you, or like spit or something, as like its form of defense. And what it'll do is like it will like get stressed out while it's fighting you, and it will like shoot. The more stressed out it gets, the more it like vomits up. And that like, and the behavior, the animations and the behavior of that is like matches exactly what you'd think. Like the eyes get really big and bug-eyed, and you see it just start like freaking out more and more and more.
The poor thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel empathy for these monsters when you're killing them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you feel bad.
Yeah, sometimes, but at the same time, like it feels really good to get the quest complete.
Yeah. You got to balance those two things. Like, am I killing a cute furry animal, or am I hungry and do I want the meat? You know, stuff like that.
Well, and it's also like, ooh, but I really want this sword, and I need to kill it and get its parts to make this sword.
So for some reason in my head, I can't make the disconnect between monster and dinosaur, because even when you were just describing that, I was thinking the first Jurassic Park movie where like Nedry gets spitted on.
Oh yeah,
gets fucking pooty right in the face.
I remember I watched that scene and that gave me nightmares.
Yeah, it was rough. But that's what I'm thinking. So I assume that that's not correct. That they are not all reptilian and not all monster.
Not all of them
like
are.
dinos.
No,
I imagine some are.
Yes, very much. Like there are some that look just straight up like dragons, like what you would think a dragon looks like. There are some that just look like that,
and I'd have no problem killing them all day.
And then there's like other ones that you can that are like more amphibious, that will like swim in and out of the water. Like there's one that is called a Juriatados. A lot of them have really weird names, but where you fight it mostly in the water, and what it'll do is it will like actually swirl around in mud and use the mud as a form of armor.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's lots of
this is kind of
very,
crazy.
very unique ideas. One of the really unique ideas that made me like instantly fall in love with the game before I ever even fought a monster is the fact that throughout this game you have a small companion that is basically just a very large cat that can talk, kind of, and that walks on its back legs. And
this
will
is
actually
the little
go with
animation
you.
that's like going crazy right now.
Yeah, they're called felines.
Like felines.
I see a little feline.
A little feline. How are you?
And you get full customization over the cat. Like you get to choose exactly how it looks. You can even down to like just how it like sounds, like what it meow sounds like.
Cute.
And
can you get like the like super himbo meow where it's like meow?
No,
it's like super weird and like manly. I don't know where that's from.
No.
I don't know where that's from.
I think what you're thinking of is the like when you slow down Yoshi's bring ha. It goes bring ha, bring ha, bring ha, bring ha, bring ha.
I think you're right. That's so scary.
It's one of my favorite videos on the internet. But yeah,
guys, I think I'm haunted now by that.
Probably,
but you've been cursed.
Oh no.
So one of the things that goes along with having this feline is that like, so while you are stocking up and creating all this new equipment and upgrading it for yourself, you can also deck out your cat.
Okay.
So you can put your cat in a giant suit of armor. You could put your cat in like there's some like high level like equipments that are just like it's a fairy costume that you just put your cat in. You give it like a magic wand that it will use to like hit monsters with that does blunt damage.
So this is similar to Spyro's little dragonfly that swoops around and picks up the gems for him.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good comparison. Yeah,
it's an old reference, but I think it flies.
Yeah, because
we all love Spyro.
Like your cat will go and like pick up materials for you as you're going searching for the monster, or like when you're fighting the monster, sometimes like bits and pieces of the monster that you want will just like fall off of it, and sometimes your cat will just go over and pick it up for you.
Good job.
So here's my next question then is, can this cat die, and will I have to call off work to mourn its loss?
Nope. Mourn its passing?
Nope, it can only faint.
Just so like it is like a Pokemon in that case. Huh.
Why is everything like Pokemon?
But
a good question.
One of the best parts, aside from just having a cat that will go out and fight with you, is that there are lots of other cats in this world. Like there are cats that are like merchants. And
is this a cat's world and we're just living in it?
Basically.
Yeah.
So maybe you're
there's a lot
the
of
pet.
people. There's a lot of people that would argue that that's the case right now in our world.
Yeah. I call for Cookie. He doesn't come over. He doesn't give a shit. He's like, "Are you
go
gonna feed me or what?"
So how many humans are in this world in comparison to cats? Because now I have a conspiracy at hand.
Oh no.
So far in Rise, it's like a pretty it's like a 50-50 split, but there's definitely like more important human characters and there are more important like cat characters.
Okay.
So
like there's a few that are like merchants and stuff though.
So what you're saying is there is no chance that it is in fact the case that you do not have a cat companion, the cat has a human companion.
No, I don't.
You're actually you're just his instrument of destruction as he collects things.
No, I don't think that's the case.
The cat's playing a long con. I was gonna draw one more metaphor, if I may. Maybe this game is like, could it be compared to Minecraft if the blocks were moving living things and you had to like mine the iron off of the blocks that are actually monsters? So and then you can upgrade your equipment. So you have a diamond sword as opposed to like an iron sword, that kind of stuff.
Kind of. Imagine there's a lot less like, I'm trying to think like there's a lot less freedom to Monster Hunter than there is to like Minecraft. Where like Minecraft, you can literally just go do whatever you want.
Right.
With Monster Hunter, it's like the entire shtick is like, go out, gather materials, track monster, kill monster, make better things, use better things to kill monster better.
Yeah, and then the end goal is to defeat this like giant fuck all monster.
Yeah, and then like even after that, it's like cool. Like usually there's lots of like equipment that is hard to get, like because it requires like really rare materials off of the monsters. So then even after you do that, it's okay, go back and kill these monsters that you killed before, just better to get even better stuff.
Oh, so like say your diamond sword can now kill this giant toad a little bit better, and you get like his organ sack that you need to build a backpack or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Y'all hear what the goddamn Gen Zers did?
What do they do? What do those Gen Z or Zoomer fellers do?
Diamonds are no longer the best material in Minecraft.
Oh, that's right. It's netherite now.
Netherite.
Which is essentially just diamond, but...
Diamond with a coating of something. It's diamond coated. Diamond is no longer the best.
I haven't enjoyed Minecraft since they actually put in a food meter. I liked it much better when it was just like you eat food, you get health. I like the Skyrim rules.
Here's a little inside baseball for our fans out there. We had a stint at one point where we were all playing Minecraft, all of us.
I still play a little bit.
We all bought it. We all bought an account. We were all playing on the same world. Michael played for approximately 6 hours, in which he dug a giant hole in the side of a mountain. He put down a platform to which he was going to build his house out of various woods. And then he jumped off of that platform and died. And that was Michael's Minecraft stint. That was his Minecraft run with us. And then his girlfriend started playing and built a giant fuck all castle that eventually ate Michael's original house.
Yep.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yep.
That's what happened.
Okay.
Yeah. She didn't want my effort to go to waste.
Good on her. What a girlfriend.
Yeah. Because it definitely felt like it did go to waste for me.
So Michael hasn't played Minecraft since they added a food bar. That is correct. But he did try.
No, I'm not saying that's the last time I played. I'm saying that's the last time I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Oh,
we were all having fun. We were like, oh, look at this thing we're building. Oh, we're making a little community. We're going to name it. Look, we're making community buildings and stuff. And then we just would see Michael like in the background.
Well, it's either that or you'd hear me yelling in the background because a creeper came up behind me and blew half my shit up.
Yes,
we don't like
correct.
Creepers. We don't like creepers one bit.
No. But anyways, yeah, Minecraft. It's similar, but like, a lot less freedom.
Yeah, that's what I was comparing it more to. Is like the aspect of it that you upgrade your equipment over time using the materials that you find all around you.
Yeah. Kind of like imagine like in Minecraft, you go out, you kill a chicken, and instead of it dropping like feathers or like a chicken breast or something, or it would still drop that, but then you use the chicken breasts and the feathers to create a chicken sword, and the chicken sword's better than your other sword. And then you go kill a cow.
Food.
Yeah, so then you go kill a cow, and you take its horns and its udders or something, and
it's leather. But that's fine.
Or, I don't know.
it drops steak. I mean, steak's delicious. We can all agree.
Yeah,
it does drop
to the
steak.
point where at the end of the game you are creating like armor and weapons out of like the Nether Dragon.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
But like your whole thing is like you keep going to kill the Nether Dragon to get even more bits and pieces, and then maybe eventually they like Mojang comes out and releases like the double Nether Dragon.
The super duper dragon.
Yeah,
they actually kind of are doing that though, because they are releasing like bigger, badder monsters. There's now the Wither, which exists in Minecraft.
Oh, that's true. He's kind of like a mini boss, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
That you choose to summon. It's not just there when you go to a certain place, like the Nether Dragon is, or Ender Dragon. Excuse me.
Yeah.
See, the only thing holding me back from like buying Monster Hunter right now is the fact that it's third person. I'm like way more into first person shit like this.
I get that. Have you ever played like any Dark Souls games or anything like that?
I played them with you for a little bit, and then I had a long
That's
time
right.
where I watched people play them.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I mean, this sort of game in my mind just doesn't work as a first person game because like the whole shtick of a first person game is you having a limited view. Like it is you viewing it as if you are this first person. But a really important part of it is having a wider field of vision to be able to see just how big these monsters are and to see their full animation, to see what they're doing, but then also being able to see the animation that your character is in itself doing. Because like otherwise, like it becomes a lot harder to time up like specific things that you do. Like some of the weapons that you can use are very complicated. So like I'll do like a quick rundown of some of the weapons that they have. So there's the greatsword, which is basically
very great.
Very great. There's the long sword, which is basically like imagine a katana, but like it's 9 feet long. And that's the great sword, or that's the long sword.
Very long.
There are there's a hammer, but the hammer, the size of like the mallet, would be the size of like a giant oil drum. And get this. So like one of the things that you have to do is while you're fighting the monster, your weapon will like dull. So you have to like stop in the middle of combat and like sharpen your weapon to make it like back to being as good as it was. You have to sharpen your hammer.
No, that's not how that works. It's a bludgeon. You don't cut anything with it.
Yeah, I
if
know,
you hit something hard enough, maybe it will. I don't know.
It's kind of like the thing, just how all of the melee weapons work is you have to stop and sharpen any of the melee weapons, and that includes the big fuck all hammer.
So do you play as somebody, or is it like a customize your own character sort of thing?
It's a customize your character sort of thing, but it's you customize your character and how they look, but there really isn't anything like behavioral wise, or like there aren't any like dialogue options or anything like that. But like the big control that you have is over how you undertake the different hunts and the gear.
That kind of reminds me of the Fable games. Do you guys remember those?
I played a demo.
The Fable games were a lot. I loved the Fable games, but like the Fable games were a lot more like you pick your destiny while like picking the way that you play along the way. But like the big seller was like, how will your choices impact the story and like what you're able to do. Whereas like with Monster Hunter, you can switch it out at any point. Like if you don't have to like be dedicated to a run, like, or like a play style. It's like, sure, if you want to play 95% of the game with a great sword, but like the last 5% of the game, you want to do it with a bow, like, sure, go ahead. You can do that. Like, and you won't suffer. Like the only thing that you will suffer, like the only penalty that you have is familiarity. Like, because one of the large factors of how well you do is your skill with the weapon that you're using and your familiarity with its moveset. And so
it's a
lot of the
from
game,
like typical RPGs where you're locked into a path.
Yep.
Like you have to build your character from the ground up. You're like, all right, let's say it's Fallout, and I always like to use small guns. That's what you got to use until the final boss battle. So it's kind of refreshing to hear that from this game.
Yeah. Like it's one of those things where it's like if at any point like the game gets stale, like the way that you're playing the game gets stale, you just swap to another weapon, and you can learn that. And like because like you have to go through the process of relearning all the combos, like all of the like its whole move set, what it's really good at. So like the greatsword's really good for like hit and run, because it's like you can pull it out and hit a monster really like a lot more quickly than you can if you just keep it out and try and swing at it. Or like the bow is really good for like mid-range, like dashing in and out combat. Okay. There's also a thing called an insect glaive. The insect glaive is basically like the whole idea is that it is a long, like two-sided glaive that you use to launch yourself up into the air and attack the monster from above. And what that leads to happening is that the people who use the insect glaive, they can mount the monster really easily. So they can initiate like that mounted combat or that riding the monster and controlling it a lot easier than any other class can. Or you have even just like a simple sword and shield where it's very easy to learn. Like you can hop in, do quick damage, not a lot of damage, but you can do lots of like quick combos. But it's very versatile. You have an ability to guard for monsters' hits, which not a lot of weapons have, and you get to learn that play style.
Another Pokemon reference.
Is it
Sword and Shield?
Sword and Shield? Oh, that was nice.
Got
Very
you there,
good.
didn't I?
Very good. Yeah, so I guess with a lot of these games, one thing that really draws me to RPGs is the setting. So maybe if you could talk a little bit about the setting, that'd be appreciated.
Yeah. So I talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but like I think one of the things that really drove me when I first played Monster Hunter World for the first time was the story and the setting.
Right.
So the story is that you are a hunter coming from this old continent to the new world with a bunch of researchers to try and like understand the new world through means of killing all the local wildlife.
Like you do when you find a new continent, right? I mean,
yeah. And so one of the most striking things for me was like at the very beginning of the game, things go to hell. You are on the back of a giant elder dragon that lifts you high into the air. And it wasn't necessarily the fact that I was being lifted by a giant monster into the air. It was the fact that like the ship, you know how ships on the bottom have like bracing. So like there's like either like one long strand of wood and like all the bracing might be like internal and all that, but there's bracing to hold it all together.
There's a name for that I don't know.
Neither do I. But in Monster Hunter, the bracing is made out of a giant monster spine.
Oh.
Like they basically took a spine, molded the bones to become the frame of the ship.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, and then they basically took that and then just lined the inside of it with planks of wood to create the actual ship. And to me, that was like such a great outline for like the entire aesthetic of the game. It's basically this like low technology setting, or not low technology, but like this mid technology setting where you have like some forms of like steam technology mixed with this like almost like caveman, use what you can find, like feeling. And that goes all the way down even into the individual like armor sets that you get, where you get to equip as a character, where it's like you have what you would think would be like a full metal like suit of armor of what you'd picture like a classical medieval knight wearing. But instead of all of it being metal, there's like little bits and pieces of it that are metal. But because in this game, this monster's scales are stronger than metal, the main material of the armor set is a bunch of overlaid scales. But it's made to look like this really, but it's not, but it looks like plate mail. But it has this aesthetic of plate mail.
What are we doing?
Friends, I thought I'd pop in.
Hi.
I've gathered a few little tidbits for you.
All right.
Oh, we got fun facts.
Yeah. First of all, from before, Spyro's dragonfly's name is Sparks.
Sparks.
Yeah.
Nice.
Little throwback for our retro gamers. The piece of a ship that kind of holds it together, what I'm assuming the spine would be, is called the keel. It's what everything rises from. And another fun thing, I learned a new word when I was playing the Monster Hunter Rise demo, because they talk about something called endemic creatures, which is like all of the little local creatures that you can find to like harvest their magic and stuff. And endemic is a real word. It refers to a species that is uniquely found in one part of the world and that part only. So you all learned some new words today.
Hey, that's what all
pandemic.
Pokemon are. All Pokemon are that.
That's true. They are all endemic species. Good job.
Wow.
Thanks, Chloe.
Thank you.
On that note, I think that's the episode.
Well, let me just leave it
Go ahead.
with like one of the biggest things that I didn't really get a chance to cover was like, so all of that is fantastic. Those are all great things that like even just as like a single player game would be just a great experience.
Oh yeah.
But one of the big draws of Monster Hunter, and this was its mission from the get-go, is to create these scenarios that you can experience with your friends. So it is an online multiplayer game where you can have up to 3 other hunters join you on these different hunts. So say like Alex or Nick, say if either of you two got Monster Hunter Rise, we could in fact like join hunts together and take down these giant creatures.
And it's
cross-platform,
right? Yeah, I was gonna say.
I don't know. Oh, Monster Hunter Rise is only on the Switch.
Oof.
So no, unfortunately, I don't think Monster Hunter World was either. But I'm not.
I know I have Switch.
Oh,
Oof.
is it gonna?
But
Is it gonna? It's not. Okay.
But
Fact checkers say no.
And that kind of goes into like the whole history. Like Monster Hunter was never like it was never really intended to be like a big game. Like its main audience never was really supposed to be like outside of like Japan. But it gained a huge following once it released onto like mobile consoles. So like it originally started on like PlayStation 2, then it went to the PSP. Mobile consoles in Japan are fucking huge. Like that is how most of them like will game is on like a mobile console. And because of like the really dense population, it was like you could just hop on the train, pop out your PSP, play Monster Hunter, and then like with 3 other people on the train, you'd go on a hunt. Three other people that you have never met before.
I don't want to do my whole intro again, but Monster Hunter Rise is only on the Switch. It might be added to PC. It's being talked about, but not yet.
Is the first Monster Hunter cross-platform?
The first
Let's find out.
Well, the first one came out on the PlayStation 2.
Oh my god.
So how many have there been?
That's so old.
There's been a lot.
Too many.
You have Monster Hunter Freedom, Monster Hunter 2.
Monster Hunter World has no form of crossplay.
Okay, and that would have been the most recent one that would have had crossplay.
Sad face.
Gotcha. Yeah. Thanks, Chloe.
You're welcome.
But yeah, so there's tons and tons and tons of games. Like they've made like over, I don't know, probably over like 10 to 15 of them, between ones for like dedicated at-home consoles and ones for like your Nintendo DS. Or your PSP, which like it didn't get popular in the US until they came out with one for the Nintendo DS, because that was like one of the first like large scale, like everyone that we knew like ever owned a Nintendo DS that had like really easy to use Wi-Fi, like crossplay.
You didn't have to have the weird cord.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's when everything kind of exploded, because the big thing that really makes Monster Hunter really, really fun is being able to do all the stuff that I talked about before, but being able to do that with 2 or 3 of your closest friends.
That's awesome, man.
And it doesn't force you to play online, does it?
Nope, does not.
Check. That's another one.
Yeah, if you want to, you can play through the entire thing by yourself.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Any final words? It's a game about playing with your friends and killing Pokemon. We're gonna go.
Shaking my head once again.
Yeah, I'll take that as an accurate summary. Yeah.
All right, cool. We're gonna throw it into our promo section. But before we do, I of course want to take a second to thank the Scene Snobs network of podcasts for allowing us to enter their family, and they've been so supportive. We've gotten a lot of great connections through them. We have a lot of very cool stuff coming up in the near future, with different shows from the network joining us joining them. And you can keep up with all that on our many social media that have been going across the screen intermittently throughout the episode. But if you miss any of our guest spots on any other episodes, such as other shows on the Scene Snobs network, you can catch those on our YouTube channel, which has been fully updated and integrated into our brand and our website. But if you go on YouTube, you look up Entertain This, you're going to see our logo. You already know what our brand looks like. Just look for that. And you'll find all of our past episodes, as well as some guest spots that we did on other shows. And those guest spots wouldn't have been possible without the Scene Snobs network. So we want to thank them so much for having us on their network and allowing us to continue making this show and get us out there so people watch, because that is part of the fun. It's having people watch it. So that being said, we'll throw it into promos. We had a couple of promos for some shows in the network. After that, we'll be back for Nick to do a quick this.
Justin Wallace, Mitch Glasgow, and Deanna Cosby. 3 daily commuters are joining forces to create the comedy podcast known as Carpool Shenanigans. Each week we'll take a topic, tell a story, and hopefully make your drive to work just a little less shitty. Now the episode's about to begin, so we ask that you sit back, relax, and of course, let's get weird.
Hey, Cammy.
Hey, Bryant.
What do Robin Hood, Vlad the Impaler, and Mothman have in common?
IDK, what?
Well, they're all topics on our podcast Mystery, where each week we discuss a new myth and the history behind it. That's Myth Story with an IE. See you then.
Oh.
Hey, we're back. Welcome back,
Hi.
everybody. I hope you enjoyed those promos. I'm sure you guys are getting used to them. We're hopefully going to get some new ones coming up here real soon. But Nick, you hosted last week where we talked about SimCity as well as some other simulation-based games, and of course the amazing work of Mr. Wright. We have Mrs. Price, but he's Mr. Wright. Together, they make the prices right, I guess. Anyway, that was a terrible joke. No, it wasn't. So please take over so I can shut my mouth. Nick, let's do a quick this.
Okay. Yeah, I guess if somebody wants to start
I got
a timer.
your timer set up.
Or
Yeah, I
don't have a
got you.
timer. Okay, well somebody has one. Anyways,
I got one.
This topic that I'm about to talk to you about, is dovetails into the topic that we just talked about quite nicely, actually. But to start, let me pose a non-rhetorical question. This is one that you can answer. But what
I'm
are the
glad
three
you
basic?
clarify that now.
Yes, I have to. I really do. What are the 3 basic things you need to survive?
Food, water, shelter. Next. Nailed it.
Okay, so you probably said food is one of them.
I
So
did.
when
Food,
wa-
water, shelter.
When was the last time that you were truly, really hungry?
Ooh, probably about like 2 hours ago. I had
Michael, I knew that you were gonna fucking say sometime today. That's how our friendship. I
I'm
know.
a hungry boy.
I would say the last time I was truly hungry was probably on a camping trip I went on where they were making gross stuff and somebody caught something on fire. And just like being trapped in the woods and not being able to just go to like McDonald's if you're hungry can really mess you up.
It sucks, right? Being out in the wilderness and you're starving. You're like, I gotta get some food, but there's no food around me. Humanity, of course, has got it good in this day and age. We compared ourselves to the caveman ancestors millions of years ago. We don't have to hunt or grow or kill monsters or anything like that to get food. We just hop in our car, head on down to Kroger's, and there's all our food. But imagine finding yourself in a situation when you have to live outside of the logistics of society, when you have to survive until further notice without any supplies and just the clothes on your back. Luckily enough, there's a show that you can watch to show you how to do just that. And it's called Survivorman. So why is Survivorman such a good show? It's not really sensationalistic, heavily edited, or even scripted, but there is always the impending sense of doom that you feel for him as he ventures out in the wilderness. It's as real as a show gets. He's very much alone and he's very much vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not to this
Is he
degree.
naked and alone?
No. He's got clothes on most of the time.
Different show. Different
Show, but that's a spinoff. He started it. Don't forget it.
Did he?
Yes, I'd argue they did start the survival horror TV genre show.
What about Bear Grylls?
Nope, we're not going to talk about him.
Nope.
Briefly.
He just proves my point, and I will not allow that.
But wrapping your mind around anything this daunting can be very difficult. And surviving is more of a mental game, if anything else. You got to find food, you got to find shelter, and you got to find water as fast as possible without injuring yourself. This show serves to de-romanticize the Robinson Crusoe type of survival, as opposed to the cold, harsh realities of survival. Now, let me briefly squash the beef that I know is about to rear its ugly head once I mention Survivorman. Yes, I know about Bear Grylls and his show Man
God
vs.
damn it,
Wild.
he had it scripted.
But he's the guy in the meme with the overcome, adapt, and survive template, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you
He's
something.
the dude who drank his own piss, so he's discredited.
He's a poser. Les Stroud, aka Survivorman, can have flesh-eating bugs on him and still out-survive him any day. He doesn't have a camera crew or support team or anything like that with him. Once he's dropped in a location, that's it. He's surviving there. Just him and the viewer and his, cameras that he totes around with him. And let me tell you, it's some high quality footage that he has on this show, but he knows what he was doing with the camera, as opposed to these YouTube vlogger types who use the new iPhone XS with the front camera mode. So let me briefly go over the show's premise if I haven't already. In each episode, Les Stroud places himself in a unique survival situation. He remains calm throughout and is described as being vital to survival. It's important not to lose your head under any circumstances, regardless of what circumstance you find yourself in. He's kind of the Canadian Bob Ross of Roughing It, almost. Throughout the episode, Stroud narrates to the camera almost like a daily vlogger, commenting on his physical and physiological state and providing survival tips and making jokes in his typical dry humor, drawing upon his local knowledge and guidance. Stroud also shows the audience how to find valuable resources of nourishment to avoid dangerous or unhealthy ones and to utilize them appropriately and efficiently. And get this, Stroud's survival situations in his show are reported to have helped numerous people in real life situations who have found themselves stranded in the elements. And in the end, it's not about man versus nature. The better question is, how can we better connect with nature in harmony? And I think my time is almost up, so I will skip to the last paragraph of my script. And knowing is half the battle. He's still out there sleeping on rocks for a whole week and filming it all, but not for Survivorman. He's out doing some stuff, rest assured. You can find all his episodes on the YouTube page link in the show notes. I would never really voluntarily put myself into this survival situation. I'm happy right here in my chair, fully fed and mostly hydrated. But that's why we've got these shows like Survivorman, to watch someone else survive for my own entertainment. And you're all sitting there watching me, asking you to entertain this.
Dun, 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 the more you know.
Yeah, one of the big things that I remember him talking about was like, because I used to be super into both of those shows, like Man vs. Wild and Survivorman. Was like,
they're great.
But the thing that really sold me on Survivorman was that, like, because he has to set up the cameras himself to get the shots, if he wants to get like a shot of himself crossing like a fallen over tree over top of like a raging river that he's going to cross instead of wading through the river, he has to cross it once, set up his camera, go back, cross it again as if it was the first time again. So he's like, instead of him like undertaking these feats like Bear Grylls jumping into like a frozen lake and then like having his like camera crew give him like a heated blanket or something, like he is like undergoing these like really dangerous tasks, not just once but twice and possibly 3 or 4 times, just to get the right camera shot. Which like, oh, so much respect.
All Canadian badass, that's what we call him.
I love that. Yeah, Canada seems like one of those places where if you're inside of society, then you're really safe and everyone's super nice because Canadian. But if you're out in the Canadian wilderness, you're basically fucked. So,
like, good luck.
Have you seen a fucking moose in person?
They're tall. They're very big.
Oh yeah, I've been 10 feet from one.
I've seen pictures where they're like
on a hike. Yeah, it was fucking terrifying.
The tip of their antler like touches the tip of like the top of a semi truck. Like that's how big fucking moose are, and that's huge. Nuts. Like, they're huge, dude.
For me, like I'm 6'4", the bottom of its muzzle of like where the end of its neck was the top of my head.
That's big.
Big boys.
He's a big boy.
Big old animal. If you're out there,
and that was a female.
Jeez, pack heat, man. If you're out in the like pack some, you better have your thing on you.
You see one of the things. Huge, for sure.
Luckily enough, you know how to survive in those situations, and you know to be nice to the moose because he's just out there trying to, find monsters and get their goods and make armor out of it.
Be nice and walk away.
Be nice
Talk
and
about
walk
Monster Hunter. Tie it all together, baby. That's what it's all about. All right. Thank you guys again for spending an hour of your precious time this week with us 3 gumshoe dumbasses as we wade the waters of entertainment, bringing you all things entertainment. As always, if there's something that we haven't yet covered on the show that you'd like us to look into, our guest this month did exactly that with us. So they're coming on the show to be a guest spurt and talk to us about a movie that they suggested we all watch, which we all still have to watch, boys. Do your homework. If you have something that you want to see us do, I can't guarantee you a guest spot, but you can reach out to us. Our email is entertainthispodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on our Instagram. Our username is entertainthispodcast. You can also find us on Twitter. We're entertain_this. Again, check out our YouTube. It is newly renovated, so go check that out. And you can join our Facebook group at Podcast Entertain This. If you guys have any other questions or you want to just find an easier way to find all of our stuff and get connected with us, you can go to our website. It's www.entertainthis.net. We ask you to entertain us so we can entertain you, and you can entertain this. We'll see you next Friday. Bye.
Bye. This episode of Entertain This was written by Michael Savoya, with additional commentary from Nick Mustakangas and Alex Steele. Our showrunner is Chloe Price. Our theme music is Rush Hobble by Aaron Spencer, with additional interstitial music by DJW. Tune in every Friday for new episodes, and thanks for listening.